case you're wondering, it's number 137. I'm Shane O'Connor. He's Adrian Lacey, and this is the Comedy Slab podcast. Sorry, we were just asking what number it was. It'll all become apparent in a little while. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being with us. We look at comedy every week, and literally, we look at comedy every week, unless it's a radio show, in which case we listen to comedy every week. Unless it's alternately, then it's every other week. Put the 6 down, carry the 1.
Alternately or alternatively?
Yes, alternatively.
Anyway, carry on.
Sorry, I do apologise for that interruption. He won't do it again. We look at comedy every week, and I've said that already. And we choose a comedy programme to watch or listen to, and we chat about it. We kick around what we like, what we're not so keen on. We're going to play you a couple of clips throughout the next 45 minutes of this show that we put on the Slab, and at the end of proceedings, we'll give it a mark each out of 5, giving it a grand total out of 10. That's roughly how the whole thing works, isn't it, Adrian? Do you think?
I think give or take, yeah.
Meantime, before we do that, shall I tell them what it is this week? It's episode 137 of the Comedy Slab. We are slabbing because we've kind of turned it into a verb. Back with Mitchell and Webb. But we'll have a look at that in a little while and we'll find out what Adrian thought of that. But before we do, comedy news, something that's caught your eye.
Yeah. Well, I don't get it. That's the phrase, at least. The headline as well. In a shock report, a study of 2,000 adults commissioned by the TV channel Gold asked some people if they understood a series of jokes. And the sort of conclusion is that 2/3 of people will laugh at a joke they don't understand just so they fit in better.
We've all done that, haven't we?
Yeah, I've certainly done it.
Maybe not to fit in better. I know I've certainly done it to not embarrass somebody. If I think, oh, that's awful. Or you can do that. You can, oh, that's awful.
I hope you don't do a laugh like that.
That's what I normally do. So if you hear that, you know I'm patronising you.
Well, I was just going to say that's a very familiar sound. Anyway, there are some examples. How do you drown a hipster in the mainstream?
Yeah. Now, see, this is the thing, isn't it? This is the difference between not getting a joke and not thinking it's funny.
Yeah. And obviously you don't want to massage my ego because you just said, you do it to make someone feel better. But you quite happily sat there, stony-faced, stony-voiced, if such a thing could be done, and made me feel the pain. Thank you very much for that.
Having said that, it's not your joke, so I don't feel you're not selling it as your joke, are you? So that's...
Okay, how about, all right, try this then. I've got a good joke here. How do you drown a hipster? In the mainstream.
I've heard that before.
But little learn. Before I forget, have you noticed how Mitchell and Webb, what do we notice about the initials of Mitchell and Webb as a double act?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I never even noticed that. Yeah.
Well, the reason I belatedly, after 20 years of watching them, twigged was because the logo at the end of the show we're about to put on the Slab, I think, is a callback to that.
To the curtains?
Look at it on the end board. Not so much that, well, sort of, but without the curtain. But it's the M and W literally writ large.
Right.
Anyway, do we, so what do we conclude? Obviously, we're doing a nice bit of promotion for the one-off documentary on the Dawn French sitcom Vicar of Dibley, which says airs tomorrow. We're probably about to find out that we're reading something from 6 weeks ago.
They always ruin it, don't they, with this? I mean, this was the staple, wasn't it, when you work in radio? You and I both worked in radio and around the same time for a period of time.
Yeah, if you can call it work.
But these rubbish surveys always have to ruin it at the end by trying to sell you something, don't they? Like when they got the foot in the door and you think, 2,000 people, that's quite a respectable sample. You got my attention here now. It's commissioned by it was carried out by a Dr. Helen Pilcher. Could be a made-up name, not really quite sure about that one. It's only one step away from pilchard, and that's a comedy fish, as we all know.
Yeah.
And then you go through, and they've even provided some samples of jokes, and then at the end, they have to ruin it all by going, now watch the Dawn French programme, please, and just ruin it for me. So,
I cut them a bit of slack on that one. Look, an excuse to write down some half decent jokes.
What are you saying to me that what do you call a budgie that's been run over by a lawnmower, shredded tweet, is a half decent joke? We should tell that at school.
That's in the half that's not decent. No, the half that's decent includes two nuns are driving through Transylvania when a great big vampire jumps on the bonnet. One nun says to the other, "Show him your cross." I don't get it, but I'm laughing anyway. So the nun opens the window and yells, "Get off my bonnet, you toady git!" Sorry, that should have been toothy git, which is even funnier.
Oh, dear.
It's because I had tears in my eyes. I couldn't read properly.
That's a better one, isn't it?
That is more like it. So that's in the good half.
Right, okay.
Anyway, let's not over milk something that is merely a promotional device.
So what are we saying then? Are we saying that... they're telling us nothing new, are they, really? It's amazing that they had to engage the services of Dr. Helen Pilcher to analyse the results or to conduct the survey or to do the research, because you kind of think, yeah, they could have just asked everyone in the office. In fact, I'd have had more respect for it if they went, it turns out a survey that people laugh at a joke that they don't necessarily understand. We asked everyone in the office whether they'd ever done it and they said yes. Now watch the Vicar and Dibley programme.
But the sub-headline underneath the main headline, I don't get it, says, "Why some jokes leave us baffled, but we repeat them anyway." Now, that is more of a shock, isn't it? It's one thing to fake a laugh.
Yeah.
And it's not just in the if anyone can remember the pub, as we speak in after a year of lockdown. But people... in the TV trade, have to stay in work, have to laugh at stuff they don't necessarily find funny.
Wasn't there a thing in the not the Vicar of Dibley, in the League of Gentlemen, where there's the three guys going to the pub and they're telling the joke? He said, "What's that joke about death by bum bum or something?" I can't remember what the joke was.
I don't remember. Death by bum bum or bum bum?
Death by bum bum. I'll have to
Is the joke that you never hear what the joke is?
I think he can't remember what the punchline is, and he's trying to tell this joke. He's going, "Go on, Jeff, you tell it better than me." And he can't remember what the joke is. And I'm sure that there was a running gag in the League of Gentlemen. I mean, it's one of the gags here. We just had a quick sort of shufty through this before we started recording, and we both went, "What?" So if anybody knows the answer to, or knows why this is funny or is supposed to be a joke, can you give us a tweet and let us know, or on our Facebook page? How do you milk sheep with iPhone accessories?
That's a real tumbleweed and distant church bell one, isn't it?
How do you milk sheep with iPhone accessories? All right, what's 7 down?
Well, I don't know what 7 down is, but 7 up is lemonade. 7 up is... please, 7 up. Obviously, you didn't get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like Dr. Helen Pilcher's title, which is neuroscientist and comedy expert. There can't be too many of those. That's a good double whammy.
No, she comes in and goes, "It's about your brain tumour." You're going to laugh.
I've got good news and bad news. Bad news is you're in Death's Dark Vale. Good news, I can make a joke about it.
I was trying to think on my feet of a variant to that. You've heard of that guy, haven't you? Where the guy wakes up in hospital and the doctor says, "I've got some good news and some bad news." He said, "Well, what's the bad news?" He said, "We've both had to amputate both your legs." And he said, "What's the good news?" He said, "The bloke in the next bed wants to buy your slippers."
Now, would you find that funny if you were the bloke who'd had his legs amplified? Anyway, shall we move on before we get into ever deeper waters that we don't really understand? Or...
That's what I'm going to say to people now. So I'm not fat. I've just had my stomach amplified. That's all it is.
That's not even worthy of the name joke. I'm well aware.
Dear. Yeah, I'm sorry. Right, yeah. Shall we move on? Back. Shall I give you a quick outline of what back is all about? Because it's quite a simple setup, isn't it? Really? It's quite a simple premise. Mitchell and Webb, as I say, and let me get this the right way around. David Mitchell plays a character called Steve, and Robert Webb plays a character called Andrew. And Stephen's father was a pub landlord who has recently died, and Stephen is set to take over his father's business, namely the pub. And we kind of joined proceedings just coming up to the funeral, where Robert Webb's character Andrew suddenly arrives. It turns out that when Stephen was growing up, his parents had a lot of foster children sort of coming and going in the household, and Robert Webb's character Andrew turns up and sort of announces himself as his brother, doesn't he, and started claiming his grief as well and saying, "Oh, my father's died as well," this kind of thing. And that's the premise, isn't it? Really, I suppose. In essence, there is not a lot more to it than that. Do you think?
No, except I would just flesh out a little on the Robert Webb character Andrew. I mean, he's a card shark, really, isn't he? He's a complete con act, because we see him arguing a couple of points on both sides.
I don't know whether we should talk about this a bit later. I don't know whether he's a con artist or whether he just can't help but inject himself into situations. I don't, to me,
it's not the same thing.
No, because a con artist is somebody who does it for gain, where he appears to do it for the pure pleasure of it. Does that make sense or not? No.
Well, I wouldn't say pure pleasure. I'd say if he is in what did you say? Injecting himself into every situation. It's egomania, I would think.
Okay, well, either way, anyway. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Is that he's not playing with a straight deck, is he? You soon realise that the kind of person that he is. In fact, I think it was beautifully put together. So, clip one. Then we cut to the interior of a pub, which we presume is the pub in question that David Mitchell's character has ended up inheriting and running the business. We see two people behind the bar, Jan and Mike, played by one of my favourites, Oliver Maltman. And Jan, played by one of my soon-to-be favourites, because I thought she was great the way she played it. Jessica Gunning is the lady that plays the character called Jan. They're quite obviously a couple, and they're working behind the bar. And Jeff, who is played by the wonderful Geoffrey McGivern, is the other side of the bar, talking about a funeral.
You doing the music for Laurie's wake tomorrow?
Yeah, got a super 70s playlist lined up. Feel like I need to give him a Big Brother send-off.
Do you still watch Big Brother?
No, I meant because Laurie was my big brother.
We haven't watched it since Nadia was in it.
I never had you down. I was watching Big Brother, Jeff.
Yeah, don't watch it, Jan.
Oh.
Hi, checking in en route to Mum's.
All good here, Stephen. Fancy a panini?
No, thank you.
Jan and I are loving the panini maker. I like the refurb.
It's a good refurb, isn't it? All the pine. It was expensive.
Really expensive.
Yeah, very costly indeed, wasn't it?
But I like to think I got it right.
People could really grow to like it.
Yes, it's really, really thorough.
And whenever I showed Dad the photos towards the end, he'd just hit his morphine button and smile, so...
Oh, don't feel like you have to keep it all bottled up just because of us.
I don't.
You been to see Laurie yet? Lying at rest. Talk to him one last time.
Not technically. Or actually, I'm not sure that
You've only got till 6:30. Go see him. Tell him you love him. You weren't there when he passed.
I was stuck in a queue at the cash and carry. The tills went literally mental.
You should go to the funeral place. Closure's important.
For me, the fact that he's dead already has quite a large element of closure about it.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm with you on the woman who plays Jan. Who would have thought you'd get so much comedy capital out of going? Oh,
I know, but she
couple of times.
It was a couple of times. It wasn't more than once, wasn't it? But it was like kind of yeah. I just thought, oh, there's somebody to watch. But
I just thought.
I thought
anyway.
I thought.
Anyway, Little Ern, do you want my headline?
Yes.
I'm quite pleased with mine, especially since I've only thought of it in the last 2 minutes because I completely forgot to write one prior, as usual. Are you ready for it? The headline reads, "I want you back for good."
Oh. Channeling your inner take that.
Indeed. Take that and party. Yeah, so pleasant turnaround and mightily grateful for the second viewing where I it rose in my estimation. I tell you what, I have to confess, even though I know this sounds dumb because he's meant to annoy you, but I was really annoyed by the Robert Webb character to the point where I couldn't enjoy it. He was just so needly, spiky. Ugh. But then I relaxed on that and accepted that is clearly what the character is. And you know, he is the antagonist. He antagonized me, and he's the antimatter David Mitchell character. So Andrew is very much an opposite of the Stephen type character.
See, I thought he was quite clever the way they'd written him, and he didn't have the same effect on me because, and you alluded to this a little earlier on, there were a couple of scenes with Robert Webb in, where, in fact, the very first scene that you see him talking to a taxi driver, and he's giving him this advice, and you think that he's going to say to him, you should stay with your wife, but he actually sort of says you should go and run off with the au pair or something like, I forget what it is now, but like the exact opposite. And that was quite a shocker for me. I kind of went, oh, I didn't remember that at all, because I'd seen a little bit of this, and I didn't remember that kind of side to his character. And then there was a scene where he was on an aeroplane, and somebody said, is there a doctor on board or anyone who knows CPR? And a guy goes to get up, and he sees him and kind of beats him to the punch, doesn't he? And jumps up.
Yeah.
And so
we rather suspect the other guy behind him was a doctor, but was slightly slower reflexes.
He certainly looked like he could be, didn't he? I mean, if that was the intention, everything but the stethoscope round his neck. But and I can't. This is why I said to you, his motivations aren't very clear. You know, it's not all for pecuniary gain, is it? It's. I mean, that was just for the.
I think it's egomania. The more I see it, the more I think about it. Do you not think?
Not necessarily. No, I don't. I think it's just he. Well. Maybe when I said no, and then I was thinking what I was going to say, actually, you could say, well, that is because of his egomania. But yeah, I suppose it's just this whole thing of, you read about this, don't you, with serial killers who can't help but inject themselves into the investigation. They can't help but going up to the police and say, what's going on here then? What's happened? You know, and despite the fact that they know, you hear about this so many times because... you know, I think Ted Bundy was like that. You know, he was a very famous example of it. And you're right, he was an egomaniac, megalomaniac, probably. But yeah, it's that kind of he has to inject himself into every situation, even if there's no particular gain for him, just for the kudos of saying I was the person and I did this. So you kind of feel he'd tell that story at a dinner party sometime later. But against that backdrop, he then turns up and sort of says, you know, to Steve and David Mitchell's character, you know, I'm your brother. No, you're not. Forms
referring to Stephen's deceased father, Andrew, calling him Dad, as if they were the closest father and son ever.
Yeah,
but they weren't.
And what's worse is that. The Stephen character, David Mitchell's character, seems to be the only person that can see him for what he is.
Yes.
Everybody else thinks he's like, it's, you know, David Mitchell's mom thinks he's fabulous. His sister thinks she fancies him. You know, it's that kind of everybody thinks he's wonderful. Why can't they see what he's really like? And it's just a wonderful dynamic from the start, isn't it? I have to say, you know, if you look at the writers that worked on this, Simon Blackwell and Will Smith. Provide additional material. You think it's class? It's a class act, isn't it? This whole thing, class product.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we think Simon Blackwell wrote, I believe, all 4 series of The Thick of It, Armando Iannucci production, and Peter Capaldi in the Malcolm Tucker role, and also, I mean, surely. You'd only have to do this in your life and you've justified your existence. Simon Blackwell, creator of this, also created the pilots in Armstrong and Miller. And I'm like this and he was like that.
Yeah.
And between us, yeah.
Talking about flashbacks, what did you think of the... they use that method quite a bit, actually, of going back to to the two of them, like mainly to illustrate how different their recollections were of their childhood or the brief period that they spent as youngsters together. Did that work for you?
Kind of, and I don't know. Something didn't quite work as well as it should have done, and I had this very odd thought, which doesn't even make any sense to me, but I'll share it with the group, which is that somehow I feel that would have worked in a feature film better, but I have no idea how that could be the case and why. For the purposes of a TV show, you're still staring at a screen, moving pictures and dialogue. And I don't even understand my own thoughts there, but something didn't quite have the pathos that it could have done. And I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it was just, I wonder if it was just a bit too brief. You get this merely a reaction shot of 1 minute David Mitchell in the present, or 2017 to be strict about it, and then suddenly you see his younger self. But it partly worked, but I think it was a little bit rushed, like slightly nervous direction or editing.
I just like the whole. It's that jump cut between. To sort of illustrate the juxtaposition between their two perceptions of reality, as it were, in the past, or how they remembered it, and it was just the fact that you could do that jump cut from one to the other, and in a split second there you kind of go, no, it was actually like this. It's quite a powerful mechanism, I thought. I liked it. And I thought the kids who played them were suitably. Like them to be able for it to all kind of make sense quite quickly and slot into place. I thought it was quite interesting. They did it a couple of times within the first half of the show, didn't they? And I thought that's quite brave to do that so early on.
Yes, it was quite early on, and I particularly like the younger David Mitchell. I thought it was very effective. There's something I don't know a little bit sad about him that worked.
Yeah. Can we talk about him? I've got to spare a moment to talk about Matt Holness as their dad.
Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which we slabbed.
Yeah,
years ago. Same actor.
I just had to Google it because I'm a bit sad like that. But Matthew Holness and David Mitchell are actually the same age.
And what am I meant to do with this information?
They're both 46. Well, because one's playing the other one's dad, and it just kind of...
Yeah, but you only see him in flashback, don't you?
Yeah, I know, but you know that he's just died, and you kind of think... I don't know, I found it all a bit... I thought, what a strange...
Did that spook you? You sound spooked.
No, I just thought it was a bit weird. And do you know the really weird thing is he's not credited.
Well, I'm staring at his credit on IMDb as we speak.
Oh, is it IMDb?
I hate to contradict you in public.
I looked at comedy.co.uk, I think, and
that might just be a typo and just a clerical error.
No, he's not on there at all. The character isn't on there at all, and I just thought, how weird is that? Oh, okay, maybe it's just me then. But it's not the first time I've ever said that in my life. I'm sure it's not going to be the last.
No, sadly not.
We talked at the start.
You said last, as if you're a southerner. Then are you going soft?
No, it's my son. He says Bath, and I don't want to discourage him from. I don't want to say no, son. It's Bath. You're a Midlander. Get yourself
you're a bad
sorted
boy.
out. If he wants to say Bath, that's up to him. Do you know what I mean? I think he gets it from the TV.
Oh, I blame the TV. That shows how southern based. Well, he's watching. That's a bit odd, actually, because he's watching Last of the Summer Wine, which is supposedly set in the north.
He does watch other stuff as well. He didn't just sit there watching Last of the Summer Wine reruns. I know they did.
God knows, there's enough episodes. He could just sit there watching that continuously.
They did 298 episodes of Last of the Summer Wine, but I don't make him watch all of them. Do you know what I'm saying? Is that no? I think it's Justin Fletcher. In his many guises as Mr. Tumble and Justin's house.
I think you've mentioned this. Yeah,
we touched on this at the start, I think, or we said we would talk about it, and I really do want to talk about this. Is this Peep Show 2? Do you think?
As in a continuation of? No, I didn't think that, but you made me think. Actually, yeah. Well, they need to grow up, don't they? Because Peep Show is very definitely people in their 20s, I guess. In a flat share or house share, they couldn't carry on like that forever. And I mean, Peep Show didn't exactly have a a short run, did it? So you can't say it was shortchanged.
It was about 9 series, wasn't it? I think in the end.
Yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah, 9, I think, or around about that.
Yeah.
And like it or not, you have to grow up, and they are playing older people. So Peep Show 2 only not in a sort of continuation of that idea, but only in the sense we were talking about George Michael before we hit record. It's the difference between being in Wham and singing "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go" and then having an old album called Older, was it? I think it was.
Yeah, Older, yeah.
Wiser?
Yeah.
Older, yeah.
Yeah.
And going solo. Can I just say, before I forget, I mentioned that Mitchell and Webb Company Limited logo, or at least the M and W, like Morecambe and Wise. So it is, sure enough, that Mitchell and Webb Company Limited production in association with Big Talk Productions for Channel 4. So it's available certainly in the UK on the streaming on channel4.com or indeed on their app, which is All 4.
Should we have another clip and
Let's do it.
reacquaint ourselves with what this sounds like? Stephen and Andrew, the two main characters, Mitchell and Webb, are arguing in Stephen's dad's study, and there's which we already know is a kind of a prized last answer phone message playing out. He gets somebody presses play and it gets played out while they're having this argument. It's playing out in the background, and as things get heated, David Mitchell's character Stephen hits a button.
Message deleted.
No, what have I done? How do I get it back?
I don't think you can get it back. It deletes it permanently.
What do you mean? You must be able to get it back. Isn't it in the cloud? I thought everything was in the cloud.
Answer machine messages on landlines aren't in the cloud. Sort of in the same way that Sumerian clay tablets aren't in the cloud.
But it was his last message, Mum's last link with Dad, and I've destroyed it.
Are you guys all right? I heard shouting just now.
We're absolutely fine. We were shouting with friendship.
Something terrible has happened, Ellen.
Oh no. What?
I've accidentally deleted Laurie's last voicemail.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
No. Well, he did sound ill on it. I should remember him as he'd like to be remembered. Young, ambitious, charming. A business marvel.
You're absolutely right, Ellen.
Call me Mum, like you used to.
Mum.
Oh.
It's another of those very small noises that means so much. Huge hats off to Penny Downey playing Ellen or Mum. Now, he was saying something to me while that was playing out, and you'll remember it, and I've now forgotten it.
I was just saying
Peep Show.
Yeah, it was really Peep Show when David Mitchell was saying, "Isn't it in the cloud? Everything's in the cloud." And then Robert Webb saying, well, "No, it's not in the cloud. Not everything's in the cloud." That was, to me, that was the two Peep Show characters there just resurrected for. I mean, not that it's a problem. And I have to say, the writing, I think, is excellent. And there's another great example of how great Simon Blackwell is as a writer, that he throws that curveball in, that all of a sudden, the Andrew character, Robert Webb, he suddenly takes the blame for something, takes a hit for something, and you think, why is he doing that now? What's the ulterior motive there? And it's kind of twisting and turning all the while, isn't it?
It is. Oh, did you like at the funeral dancing to Cat Stevens? Just dancing at a funeral, for God's sake! Just awesome. I mean, there was and some of the lines in there as well. There was one, and it made me laugh out loud. And I thought, that was really dark humour. But his sister says to Robert Webb's character. I think I know what you're going to say. David Mitchell's sister. She said, "We've got a music festival." She said, "It's got 4 stages, and quick as a shot, it's like cancer." And you think, oh, God. But it made me laugh. That's an amazing line. It's amazingly dark, but yeah. Made me laugh out loud, though. I thought it was just a cracking, and the kind of the pace of the whole thing was just fabulous. I mean, I never tire of watching Geoffrey McGivern. I never tire of him. We've slabbed him in a couple of things now. Tony Gardner playing Nick Malloy.
Yes,
You recognise
yes.
where we knew him from?
Lead Balloon, wasn't it? He was Tony, wasn't he? Michael,
Yeah,
the
the
restaurant
cafe.
owner, wasn't he? The cafe owner.
Yes, he plays. I don't know what is the expression I want. He certainly plays sort of hurt or mock hurt as the cafe owner, but quite a different character here, really, and maybe a similar voice, but the expressions going on and the tone he was getting.
I was a bit surprised. I thought we were going to see more of him. Maybe we're doing the rest of the series. I can't remember, but I was sure that we were going to see more of him as the episode went on. But we only saw him at the very start, didn't we? Which
Yeah, I hope he does come back later in the series.
Music I've got to mention because I looked up the guy who produced the music for this, and apparently most British comedy programmes, the music's been written by this guy. He's a Sheffield-based musician called Ollie Julian.
Right.
And some of his, I won't tell you all of his credits, but he's written the music for Catastrophe, This Country, Code 404, Motherland, Year of the Rabbit, and Breeders, which is a new Martin Freeman comedy that's been doing the rounds. Talk about prolific. He's I'm just amazed. I'd never heard of him before. Maybe at the end of the business, you don't. People, they're behind the scenes, very much behind the scenes, and they do their work, and they're in and out, and that's it.
Yeah, they can be a bit under the radar unless you're looking for them. But yeah, that's quite a CV, isn't it?
Not bad at all.
What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, trivia point. Do you know where it was shot?
No.
I believe it was Stroud in Gloucestershire,
Okay.
or should I say Stroud, which I think is where Bill Bailey comes from.
Oh, okay.
But he, when I saw him live, do you remember that? You could go to a theatre and sit next to people, and probably whinged about sitting next to people who were eating crisps or whatever. But I'm sure we can soon learn to remind ourselves how much we dislike sitting next to strangers or even people we know in the dark. But anyway, he did make a point of saying he deliberately changed his accent, a bit like you and your son, although for different reasons. He thought you couldn't get taken. Actually, that's the wrong word, isn't it? Getting taken seriously as a comedian.
Well, he's 3. Not Bill Bailey. I'm talking about my son. But,
I was going to say.
I don't think it's a deliberate
He's
move on his
balding
part.
already.
I think he's just copying what he's hearing on the TV. He did sit me down the other day and said, "Look, Dad, I know I'm only 3, but I don't feel that this is going anywhere. This being the son of a Brummie. I don't. What can I do? Brummie. But what can I do about it? Can I just mention, actually, just going back to this production of Back, and there was quite a hiatus between Series 1 and Series 2, and I had no idea. Did you know why there was a gap between the two series? Why Series 2 has only just now been made and put out?
No, arguably we've had a year's delay through lockdown, although some shows have carried on getting made, but it doesn't sound like that's anything to do with it.
No, it wasn't. I was absolutely gobsmacked to read that Robert Webb had agreed to have a medical checkup prior to filming Series 2, I think it was. And he went to see his GP to have a medical, and his GP said, your heart's going to fail within the next 2 to 6 months. And he was diagnosed with a mitral valve prolapse, and he had to have urgent life-saving heart surgery. I had no idea that. Did you? I had no idea that he'd even been ill.
Didn't he have an autobiography out, in the last couple of years?
Yes, something about a boy, is it, or something? To be a boy, or
How to Be a Boy.
How to Be a Boy, is it? Something?
It's in quite a tough childhood, but I don't remember that being mentioned at the time. No, really, he doesn't have to mention everything.
Huge, isn't it? That really kind of. So
that is a big deal.
So he was joking when he said it, but he sort of, I think he was saying when he did an interview with somebody, and Simon Blackwell was there. I think it was Simon Blackwell was there, and he said, "Well, you saved my life really with this show, because if he hadn't gone and had the medical, he wouldn't have known that he had it, and he would have just had heart failure and could have possibly died." So yeah, incredible story, isn't it? Really, between the two, but
it is, and an efficient doctor or whoever spotted it as well, because those things can get missed, can't they?
Absolutely. Anyway, it's got to be that time, hasn't it, where we put the scores on the doors, Gloria?
Yeah, now we've raised the mood. Thank you. Well, I suppose there is a positive there, which is he's still with us. Who's going? Holt, who goes first?
Did you go first? Oh no, if you're volunteering, go on. You go first if you like. Then yeah.
Oh well, I'm happy to because otherwise I'll just overthink it. I'm going to go for a nice and certainly for me generous 4 out of 5, 80%.
I think we're on the same page as we were last week, aren't we? Because didn't you give it a 4?
And
I gave it a 4.5, which is what I can't tell you how much. I can tell you how much I enjoyed it. So I don't know.
No, you could try.
I enjoyed it ever such a lot. There you go.
That'll do. I think the score said that.
I just thought it was great. I mean, the whole, the writing, the casting, the story, the plot twists, the mechanisms that they used.
We haven't even mentioned the dog, though. Do you think that's going to go somewhere?
I just love that. I mean, isn't that just
running subplot about the dog?
I mean, David Mitchell plays that kind of thing so well, doesn't he? Where he just, I mean, I don't think we're ruining anything by saying that a sexy lady, as he describes her, was giving him the eye in a cafe, and she said, "Can you look after my dog?" And then just never came back, did she? And he's got this dog in a basket that's weeing everywhere. But that was a bit Peep Show as well to me. Do you know what I mean? It was. Don't you think it was a bit? It was a bit kind of. You would fully expect. Was it Jeremy's character? I can't remember which one was which.
I can't remember. I can't remember. I want to say the wrong thing.
Don't write it.
One of them was Jeremy. Yeah. I think Robert Webb was the Jeremy.
He was actually. Robert Webb was Jeremy. But yeah, anyway. But I just thought that was very Peep Show. That whole kind of
being
lumbered with a dog, and he's explaining he can't go and see his dad lying in the funeral parlour because he's turned up late with this dog that's weeing everywhere, and it's not my dog. And do you know what I mean? There's a whole thing. It's just wonderful. I just thought it was wonderful.
Yeah, beautiful reappearances just when you might forget about it or think it's a bit odd.
Yeah.
Or that can't go anywhere. It does go somewhere.
It does, yeah.
And just a nice little device. But whether it goes anywhere in the series, I imagine it might do. And if I had to guess, I'd think the sexy lady will come back to claim it at some stage.
Well, it's whetted my appetite anyway, so I'm gonna go off and go and be in my normal, completest self. And
it's wetted the basket it's in as well.
It's wetted everything.
Oh,
really.
Sorry, you didn't mean that.
It's contact with, yeah.
The pavement.
So 8.5 out of 10 for Back. You can catch it.
Oh, so you're sorry? Did you say it in as many words? 4.5 from you?
Yeah. No. Well, you said 4.5, and I said yes, indeed.
Oh, right. Sorry.
So
okay, carry on.
I
obviously drifted off. Brilliant.
You can catch it, and I have to mention it because I just think it's such a great resource if you're in the UK. If you're not in the UK, I do apologise because you're probably tearing your hair out now going, well, I can't see it on that. But it's available to watch on the Channel 4 streaming website, all 4. So for next week then, and it's your turn.
Right, well, I think it's high time for a bit of wireless waves, and I am using the ancient term for steam radio because this is all of 50 plus years old, this show.
Blooming heck.
Or at least this particular edition, yeah. I mean, the series started in 1962, so that's getting on for 60 years ago. But this particular edition is from September 1970, but it has just been, as we speak, repeated on BBC Radio 4 Extra in the UK, and hence, certainly in the UK, is available online at bbc.co.uk for, well, another, as we speak, around 3 weeks or so, so don't hang about. The show in question is Men from the Ministry, so all about civil servants, I guess. I confess to having heard it in the past when it first, not this particular episode necessarily, but having heard it as a kiddywink. And I assume we're talking civil service, aren't we? I haven't gone back to it really seriously since those ancient times. But anyway, we'll have some fun with that. Men from the Ministry. The particular episode title is Bill Stickers is Innocent.
I mean, that's of a time, isn't it, in itself?
Well, yeah, it was totally dated graffiti. I had to do a double take for a moment there because I thought, I know that phrase.
Yeah.
Well, we could talk about that next time.
Oh, I was going to say what it was from, but yeah, okay, we'll do that next time if you like. But yeah, Bill Stickers is innocent. Okay.
Indeed. So BBC Radio 4 Extra, Men from the Ministry.
Wasn't that? Can I just a quick one before we do move off that? Wasn't that Derek Geiler? Was Derek Geiler in that?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Richard Murdoch, before he bought the Times newspaper.
And Sky, yeah.
No, just joking. Yeah. Not Rupert, Richard. And Derek Geiler.
Wow. Okay. Looking forward to that. For no other reason than I think it's fascinating to look back at how comedy changed or has changed, or maybe it hasn't. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? We'll find out next week. Don't forget, you can catch us in various places, in various acts of various states of undress. No. That's something else completely different.
What an image.
What a podcast.
That's your other podcast.
No wonder it's not in Vision. You can catch us around the place on Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's a bit like the generation game, isn't it? Cuddly Toy, Fondue Set,
yes,
Coffee Percolator. And many other places as well. Feel free to have a peruse through our back catalogue. We love people perusing through our back catalogue, don't we?
Coming from you, it sounds filthy. I'd never heard it that way before, though. To the pure, all things are indeed pure. I am going to encourage you, as ever, please, to recommend the show to friends, family, and anyone that you meet, either in the real world, if you can remember that far back, or in the virtual world, or on Zoom meetings or whatever. A generous multiple star rating would be hugely appreciated if you feel so minded on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. And do follow us on the twits, as someone says on Six Music. Mark Riley, that is. So thank you, Mark. And so Twitter, we are at Comedy Slab. That's also our Facebook page at Comedy Slab as well. So if you could follow us on the former and like us on the latter, we would like you to.
So thanks very much for your company. We've enjoyed having you with us. Well, we've enjoyed chatting while you were sort of breathing. We were guessing you were running or exercising or doing something. I'm not really quite sure what it was, but
it sounded dubious at various stages.
Very, very panty, wasn't it, this week? I'm not really quite sure.
Panty.
Very, very panty.
Can you say panty on a family show?
You see, it's you that's the problem. It's not me that's saying
that.
No,
it's not. You said it, not me.
It reminds me of that Hugh Laurie and Fry and Laurie sketch. I'll get there eventually. It reminds me of that Fry and Laurie sketch where he says, "If you're trying to trick me into sexy talk, then then
it won't work."
Yeah. So until next week, he won't be tricking me into sexy talk. I'll tell you.
Oh.
It's quite sexy, that one was in the end, wasn't it?